Hello, my friends. Let's go back to 1967 and my American adventure. When I finally met up with Sandy in Vancouver, it was a great moment of joy for both of us. She was living with her cousins who were musicians, which excited me. They welcomed me warmly. Also, they were a little surprised to receive a white man in their home. Surrounded by all these black people, I felt perfectly at ease. Because after the first moment, I only noticed the personalities. They installed me in the basement where Sandy came to join me for intimate moments. I had a small medical discomfort. Even before I left in Paris, I had hatching all over my body except for the head and soles on my feet. I was scratching myself mechanically, and by visual contagions, other people scratched themselves too. I consulted about 10 doctors, French, American, French Canadian, English Canadian, general practitioners, and also skin specialists. All of them told me it was allergy, without knowing what it was, and gave me medication that put me in a flirty fog. Once I smelled my body with a cream that froze me all night long. It was unbearable. I couldn't read of it, and as soon as I got back to Paris, I rushed to the St. Louis hospital, a major skin specialist. The consultations lasted only about 30 seconds, and the specialist announced it's scabies. This was exactly what I suggested to all those doctors who had not wanted to take it into account, so imbued with their medical status. I was flattered on my antibody with a product that made what had tormented me for more than 3 months disappear in one fell swoop. Thinking about it, I found out how I coughed it. I had bought a nice pair of used gloves at the Saint Ouen flea market without thinking about disinfecting them. I understood the lesson well. In Vancouver, Sandy took me to a jazz club where I could hear an exceptional musician, Roland Kirk, made famous because he was able to play 3 saxophones at the same time. In my relationship with Sandy, there was up and down, and to improve them, we decided to go and spend some time on Vancouver Island. During the crossing, we crossed many small islands, each with a house, a small beach, a mini forest. Idyllic. The main town, Victoria, was very British, with its white houses and green lawns. But surprisingly, we saw behind the roof great and beautiful Indian totem poles. The specialty of this island was to build the largest totem poles in the world, and we could witness their elaboration. We went back to her parents' house in Seattle, and as I did not like to stay at home to thank them for their hospitality, I undertook to completely repaint the facades of their house. In a very family atmosphere, I decided Sandy to come back to Paris, where she should try her luck as a model again by living with me. On this premise, I returned to the East and had to hurry the date of the approaching charter. So I traveled non-stop by bus, in which I spent 78 hours. I really realized that America is very wide. In Pittsburgh, during a break, I went to a bakery with an English companion my age, whom I had met on the bus. He asked for chocolate bread and was taken aback when the saleswoman asked him what language he spoke. I asked in my turn, and she understood me perfectly. The English was upset, and internally I felt revenge for Joan of Arc and Azincourt. I had intended to come back to Montreal to pick up my drawings, but my back was too painful after such a long trip, even in very comfortable seats, and I was abandoning them. We arrived at night in New York and went to the shelter for young people where I had spent the last days before my move. The boss was not there, and I had to insist a lot that the night watchman accept to host us. In the middle of the night, I was woken up by the boss who had just come home completely drunk and who was shouting at my English boyfriend by punching him. Get out! Get out! I made myself very small and he didn't come to get me. He must have hated the English. The last image I had of the USA was not very flattering. On the plane home, I found a boy who had had a completely different view of America. He had spent all that time with a wealthy family like his parents, and everything had seemed wonderful to him. Through my journey, I had discovered a very great misery that was not yet shown in the movies. We agreed on only one point. We were very impressed by the water pressure when we took a shower. When I arrived in Paris, I resumed my studies and worked in an architecture agency to find the means to receive Sandy. I corresponded regularly with her and started to talk to her about marriage, so that she would be secure living with me. Her modeling activity made me want to try myself in this field, and I made some pictures with a professional photographer to build up a file. But my shyness had not completely disappeared, and I didn't dare to contact the agencies for possible castings. I never undertook this activity.